Hi guys, welcome back to episode 7 of Better World Podcast. And today I just have a few things on my mind. Hopefully we can keep this episode a little shorter and see how some shorter episodes go. The first topic I wanted to comment a little bit on was more recently. We still have a lot of time until the 2028 presidential election, but currently I think words going around is that it may be Gavin Newsom for the Democratic candidate and J.D. Vance for the Republican candidate. And just some of my basic thoughts and inputs is I think Gavin Newsom, I could see winning the candidacy. I don't know if statistically he has the numbers to or not, but I would assume so. Or I would think that it's definitely possible. I could see him potentially winning. I think he's well-spoken enough. I think he has a pretty good understanding of what he would need to do, and he's able to talk and shift his perspectives and his viewpoints to kind of garner where I think he would need to say the things he needs to say in order to get the nomination. So I think it's possible. And none of these are really factually based. I'm just saying my vague viewpoints of what I think. So I think that's definitely a possibility, but there's so much time. Any new candidates could come up. I think AOC is also a contender. I think she has a lot more of potentially the data to back it up that she would be a successful candidate at winning, and I think she would potentially have the highest shot right now. And unfortunately, this is just my viewpoint and opinion. I don't think AOC, this is just my general opinion, I don't think she has the intellectual competency to run in the United States of America. That's just my opinion. I don't think she's incredibly intelligently skilled or very rational or logical on her debating points. Not that that's needed to win in politics, but I don't think she would make for a great leader. That's just my opinion. I also think a similar example, I don't think Kamala Harris was remotely competent enough to be a leader of the nation. I think it is just saddening and kind of super embarrassing that she was even put up in that position. I don't think she's intelligent at all. I think she's very unintelligent, in my opinion, and her public speaking was terrible, and I just don't see her as a strategic person. So, AOC, I think I think there's a lot more there, but I also don't think she would make the best leader. That's just my opinion. I think Gavin Newsom, at least, if he did make it as the nominee and win, I don't think he would take the country in a better direction. I think it would be worse off. I think it'd be more left-wing, of course, leftist policies, a lot more room for socialistic policies and more of socialist ideas to creep in. I think there's also even more radical nominees that it would be even more left-wing than Gavin Newsom. But I don't think Gavin Newsom is dumb. I think if he goes in and does whatever he would want to do politically, I think it would be mostly just for the left-wing policies and whatever makes him the most money. That's just genuinely how I see it. I think I see a lot of his politics as just self-focused, enriching. I think it's a general consensus that he's done a terrible job at governing governing California. I just think almost factually too, it can just on paper you can see that and kind of prove it. So I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom and his policies. I just don't think he's a straight shot type of guy. I think he's pretty selfish. That's just my opinion. And so I don't like to take shots at people or put negativity on human beings, really. But I think in a political sphere and political realm, it's kind of what you're supposed to do is make your judgments and assessments and critiques of people. And so that's the reason that I'm doing so. And if I critique someone or speak my mind or negativity about them, it's because it affects not just them, it affects the whole world and community. So that's some of my thoughts as far as some of the people on the Democratic side. I think I don't know any other real contenders that could be put up. I don't know if Bernie Sanders would have a real shot or not at being run again. I don't think so. I think maybe a couple of his policies or agendas or what he would want to do would be helpful to some people. I think the general overall country, I don't think so. I think some of his ideas are a little, I hate to say it, but just being the age that he is at, I think he has his mind set in his own ways and certain perspectives, and I don't think his mind could be changed very easily. I think maybe he would be open to listening and talking to the right people, but I don't think he would genuinely have his mind changed deeply on certain policies or ideas that just, if you look at the facts, aren't as good for the country. That's just, again, this is just my opinion. I think it's important for people to be able to share their opinions and their ideas openly and, confronted with other ideas and facts and data, to be able to change their mind. That's just my current personal opinion currently right now. As far as on the Republican side, well, a couple first right off the bat. I think that I'm pretty sure he ran as an independent for some of the things that he's done, but RFK Jr., I think it'd be interesting to see what it would be like if he was president. I think he would make some really amazing changes, but also maybe it would just be a role that he wouldn't thrive in as much. Maybe it would take more of a toll on him than what he would be desiring. I'm sure he would take up the position if given to him, but I don't know if he would even be running as a Republican, because I don't know if he's currently a part of the party or not. I don't think so. I think he's independent, so I don't think he would run as president, but I think he's doing great in the role that he is in and has been in recently. So I think that's good for him. I think JD Vance, I like a lot of his policies and his thinking and his intellect and his regard for policies and, nationalism and, just humanity and everything. I like a lot. I think just like a lot of people recently, with the memorandum of understanding that kind of just recently was ineffective completely and didn't seem to go anywhere. At least that's currently my understanding. The past couple weeks, it makes me have just less confidence in, if he was the number one leader role, how many other things would not go as well hoped for or would be ineffective. So But generally, ideals wise and policy wise, I very much agree, and there are a lot of things that I support. And as a person, I really like J.D. Vance, and I think just being in politics, hopefully he's had time to have a hard enough shell or skin to not everyone's going to agree with everything you do. And if I was in a position, I'd get critiqued on things too, and whether it be mistakes or just viewed as a mistake but was not. So it's nothing personal. Obviously, every critique or criticism someone hears is probably going to have an effect on them some way. But I'm just saying, as a person, I would really elevate him and morally to that position. If he had the best shot, I would say, I think it would be good overall, generally if he was in that position. My personal, right now, where I'm leaning towards the most is Marco Rubio. I think the reason for that is just he has an incredible amount of knowledge and experience, and he's a straight shooter. He says what he means, and he's not afraid to say what he believes in and everything. And I just think he's a strategic negotiator and on point with a lot of things. I think he's done an incredible job with his current role. And personally, I think that would be my vote right now, or that's where I would lean most towards. I think he's an incredible leader and politician right now, based off what I've seen. And I haven't seen a great overview of all of the politicians, Democratic and Republican side, but this is just my current leanings. And then also on my mind is Mike. Hey Siri, who is the politician that's pretty notable right now? His first name's Mike, but I can't remember his last name. He's the Republican.
This contact info, are you looking for?
No, I'm not looking for any contact. I'm just looking for the politician that's prominent right now. His first name is Mike, but I can't remember his last name. He's a Republican.
I found this on the web.
No, it's not Mike. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. It's.
What I found.
No, that's not it. Look up a list of current Mike Republicans. No, look up current Mike Republicans in office right now.
I found this on the web.
Well, all right, another scene change here. Had to finish up this video because had to stop earlier, but I was just gonna go into Mike Johnson and some of my thoughts about him. I don't think he would run, but because I just don't know how the roles work. I don't think he would be going up, but I think he would make a good president and a great president. I don't know if that's his special, if he would be, if his skill set or specialties would work well there, but I would support him. And I think Peter Thune, I don't know too much about, but that would also be maybe someone I would consider. And the other names that I just am forming some opinions on and viewpoints on is, unfortunately, Tucker Carlson. He's big right now. It seems like he's always been really past 30 years or whatnot, and the Republican Party side. Just some of the things that I've seen others point out and review, I never knew much about him. I never really followed him closely, but when I first heard some of his things, I seemed to like it and agree with, his conservative values and what he pushed for, but more recently, just what people have been showing online and showing, like, some of the things he thinks and stands for. They don't seem all that conservative, and some of them just not logical, and I just don't think he's being truthful in some of the things that he thinks or believes, and I think that he's intentionally just lying or changing, his narrative or story for either more influence or power. I don't know. To me, it seems like he's kind of going against Trump at the moment, saying a whole lot of bad things about him. Really just, I think possibly so he can, announce himself running for president, and maybe he honestly just tries to go on the Democratic ticket, because I feel like maybe he'd be able to pull a large base from the Republican side that supports him if he says, I'm going to try to do what the Republican Party should be doing, but they won't do, but I'll do it here on the Democratic ticket, and maybe he'll get enough Democratic support because of some of the things that he's said he supports that aren't of conservative values, and I feel like some aren't even Christian values, really. So that's kind of my thoughts there. And I just plain out, I don't think he would get my vote, because he seems like he's lying, and I'd rather not have a president that is lying, or just not being truthful about what he thinks or believes or his motives. I'd much rather someone like Mike Johnson, which I don't think lies. Maybe that's not accurate. Maybe I don't know these politicians well enough, but I've kind of got turned off by Tucker because it seems kind of selfish. I mean, that's just my viewpoint. Again, you're in politics, you're going to get, all types of criticisms, what people think, and that's just kind of the role of politics. And so it's not really personal, it's just my opinion. And I'm of course weary of someone who grew up not middle class or not even upper middle class. He basically grew up upper class in the elite circles and was very privileged. And so I don't think he has the experience that the vast majority of Americans live in. So I think that he tries to play to the vast majority of Americans, but his life wasn't even remotely the lived experience of the average American. So I just, that's not under his control, but it does give me less, I just prefer a candidate that does understand the American life, the average American life, more than someone who doesn't. That's all. I mean, a lot of the presidents that we've had in the past, some of them have had that experience, or at least they weren't all in the very high elite classes. Some of them. So I don't want to go into too much, facts that I don't know, but that's just a few of my thoughts currently on the Tucker Carlson situation. And I'm just not for anyone that kind of seems like they're not in the best interest of the United States. He's gone over to Russia to try to support whatever political ideology is currently popular in Russia, which is not American. It's anti-American. It's the opposite of America. It does not have a religious Christian viewpoint or values. So I just not putting my support behind him right now. Unfortunately, another personality that is popular, that everyone has a viewpoint and opinion on, and is a public figure that, we have to talk about is Candace Owens. And this is just me and my viewpoints. I'm just giving my observations and what I think. I think she is unfortunately a very charismatic, or she has this energy that draws people into like wanting to just like listen to her, or she's interesting. Well, she's enthusiastic, and she has this way of speaking that people are enthused, or they like listening to. There's masses that enjoy listening to how she expresses and talks about things. But I just, unfortunately, and I don't mean this personally, I think she is not an intelligent person. I just don't. I don't think she is very rational or logical in a lot of her thinking. And I think that's important things that you have to have if you're going to be just a leader of the American people. I think her critical thinking is not up to par of what you would expect of any representative that you want. And again, it doesn't mean any less value of a human standpoint, but that's just my opinion. I do not see her as a very intellectual person, and that's just my opinion. And I see selfish motives. I see attacking people and bringing harm to people and being not honestly kind or Christ-like. And I just think there is a way of discussing and deliberating and speaking that can be with bad intent and hurtful, versus just speaking your mind to share your thoughts. And I see a lot of what seems like she does and gives out as very harmful and hurtful. So I think just as a political figure, everyone be ready for criticism and be ready of what people think and share. And, human personal affection aside, that's just my critique of her influence and role in America. And I think there are always people that can grow and increase their knowledge and awareness and all of that. And I encourage Candace and anyone to always do that. But you really have to open up your mind and be a student and dispel the things that are irrational and just are not rational and real. And that's my thoughts. And as far as candidates go, I would say Marco Rubio has my most support right now. So anyways, I'm curious of some of your guys' thoughts, what you think of some of the leading voices in the Republican Party right now. And then, your viewpoints and opinions on some of the leading voices of the Democratic Party. And again, I'm open to debate, or I'm just open to talking and ideas. I think every politician, there's going to be things you like and dislike about them, and every American is going to like some politicians and are going to dislike others, and each party they're going to like a party and dislike another party and all of that, and that's okay, and that's part of being an American, and that's part of the American fabric of politics. And I don't want any of the things I say to be too critical to a certain person or someone to view my my own self as unable to be open-minded to some of the candidates that I'm not in favor of or support of. I'm open to listening and understanding and trying to understand, well, what are the positive aspects of some of these figures and people that I've expressed my dissatisfaction with. And of course, I think it goes without I think also what has to be addressed too and talked about is critiques and thoughts and opinions and ideas about Zoran Mamdani. And unfortunately, I think it's just important enough to share a critique of what I think are bad ideas and bad political ideas and policies, and what I think is bad motives and just poor poor ability in policy, just poor ability to be a benefit to America and cities and everything. Well, I don't want to be too vague, but I don't see his motives as pure. I see them selfish, intentional. I see them as not wanting to build up America. I see them as wanting to be destructive to America. I just don't buy anything that he puts out there or says. I think his political speech, talking once he became mayor, was incredibly disrespectful and not in the spirit of America and what it should be about. I mean, talking about toppling a political dynasty, and we're here to change and make it in a better, new, more democratic way, with the warmth of collectivism. It just goes to show that's not American. That's not in the best interest of America. It's in my opinion, it's awful. And I think socialism obviously has been terrible. Never works, never will work, unless you have a very capitalistic regulation with some social elements of some some small areas where it may be needed in some very small specific areas. But the idea of the entire, a small group of the government being in control of the large masses of the economy is awful. It's terrible. It's never ever turned out well. It always is. The political leaders have selfish ambitions and motives, and they're going to spread all that money and that power to their own friends. And honestly, it's going to lead to corruption and pain and death and horrible destruction for the average person that socialism is in control over. Same thing with communism. It just is. And so any socialist ideas are just plain in fact, they're bad. They're horrible ideas. It's just played out. There's too much proof of it, too many case studies and everything. Capitalism, I would say, is not perfect, of course, and capitalism can always be improved, and you can shape it, and you can improve upon it, and revise it, and all those things. But if you're looking at what works with countries as far as what we have in history to see as case studies, capitalism is what drives growth and a better standard of living for everyone involved. And I do think that when there's less power and control at the top that's concentrated, that's a good thing. And when the freedom and control is dispersed over more of the masses, that's a better form of capitalism. But I think restricting anyone or restricting certain restraints that are too restrictive in capitalism ends in a decreased result and outcome. That's my viewpoint and understanding. And so capitalism is not perfect, but it allows for a large majority of people to be able to enrich their lives, which unfortunately communism does not work, and it does that. Communism does not allow that. Socialism has never been successful and allowed that to happen. A fully socialist state or country, it's just never happened. Maybe some more socialist leaning countries with a mix of free markets and capitalism and, some social programs, welfare programs, things like that mixed in. Okay, maybe there is better outcomes than fully socialist, but fully socialist is terrible. It just is. And I'm open to hearing more, learning more, but that's where I've ended up as seeing the viewpoint of countries and what works. So, sorry this ended up being a little bit longer of a video, but this is just what I think. So, unfortunately, I think it has to be talked about and addressed, and if Zoran Mamdani is openly talking about and openly supporting socialism, have to push back on that, have to push back and fight that, and speak about it and speak openly. Countries that are taken over and lose their freedom, lose their individual freedoms, free markets, capitalist societies, it's by allowing socialist or communist or authoritative powers to creep in and to take over control and to keep your freedom and to keep your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. You have to fight these political ideologies socially, publicly, and in the political sphere through elections and the political system. So that's what I feel like my responsibility is to speak openly about these things. And so, unfortunately, we have someone who is the mayor of New York City as a socialist, have to push back on that, have to fight that. If my views and values and what I think is best does not agree or align. And unfortunately, the more that I've become understanding of the Islamic religious framework and worldview and religion. I don't agree with it. I don't see it as benevolent. I don't see it as kind. I don't see it as compassionate. I don't see it as aligned with Western values. I don't see it aligned with American values. I do not see it as a love. I don't see it as really anything that is good, right? And so if there is a person who adheres to a religion where I do not find love and compassion and care and good things for society and for others, I'm not going to support the growth of that. And definitely, if I think it's anti-American, I'm not going to align and give my support for the growth, right? And so, hey, maybe there's other sides where you can find compassion and kindness in that religion, but I see a lot of executions and killings and forced conversions and civilizations that were taken over and completely devastated, and I see it as an evil ideology, and I see it as an evil framework of the world. I see it as a view, framework, worldview that views anyone who is not of that religion to die, or it's like fair for them to just die if they do. I just don't. I think that's an evil, fake, not real religion that is full of love and compassion and kindness and the things that are positive in the world. So that's a lot of what I see. I see it as a lot of not even the values that religion says they hold. I just don't think make even a lot of logical sense with how people are treated, especially like the punishments and the public carried out violence and fear-based control and punishments on people of that faith. So unfortunately, so all this to say, I'm not in support of someone who is a political figure in America who openly supports and is very, very forward on expressing that is their worldview and that is their religion they adhere to, and that is what they put out into the world as a person. I just don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with the religion aspect of it. I don't agree with the worldview, and I don't agree with the ideas, the ideology of what incurs politically with that religion or ideology. It's not freedom, individual freedom based and individual value based, which America is, and our founding principles and values and morals and all that. So unfortunately, the expression of all those things from this candidate, I will push back on and oppose, right, and push forward my ideals and values. So, socialist, Islamic religion endorser, and I mean, it's just really bad when you're connected or he has relationships with people who were in relationship with other individuals who were associated, whether with groups or whatnot, that has even been connected to terrorist attacks, either 9/11 or the bombings. I mean, that's just it's absurd. I mean, it's really absurd to have anyone in America or New York City to support someone even associated with groups or organizations or countries or individuals or ideologies that led to a lot of these attacks. I mean, it really goes to show when a city becomes so left-leaning or democratic or socially run, the kind of figures that can emerge as, you know, being a leader in the political spotlight, because a lot of the people just want something better, right? They just are looking for a fix. They are looking for a correction. They are looking for things. And a lot of really the correct is more of a healthy, capitalistic, conservative values that run and help the city grow. That's the solution, but the left-leaning, the left democratic candidate is going to verbally say, I can provide you the solution through this and that, from taking from others because it's unfair. I'm going to take and fix your problems through other people's means. And it sounds like a solution. And so I think bad actors are able to, I mean, in the most unfortunate of scenarios, and places arise where they otherwise would not if there was a healthy society and community and population of individuals with healthy American values. It doesn't even have to be conservative values. I'm just saying healthy values, even healthy left-wing democratic values that are healthy, that actually help the community and the world and are done in a moral way that can be helpful in a community. But you have to have the right healthy amount. You have to have the healthy democratic influences. Just like there's a negative, just like you have to have the healthy Republican values in order for it to have a positive effect, because you do not want a far right, authoritative, or fascist ideology to emerge and give authoritarianism to arise, or fascism to arise. You need the healthy republic or right-wing / Republican / conservative values to be better for the world and society. And we're strongest and best when we have both of them. When we have the healthy Republican and conservative values, and when we have the healthy, progressive, liberal, democratic values. That's what's best. And I just encourage both parties to be as healthy as possible, so we can be the healthiest America we can be. So, yeah, that's kind of it. I don't support, Islamic religious socialist policies, left wing. I just don't. That's who I am. I'm open to hearing more of others that may support more or lean more towards those ideas. This is America. I think every ideology and value and should be able to be voiced and also viewed and critiqued and be able to be opposed and all that. So those are my thoughts. And here in Florida, I've been a big fan of DeSantis's policies. I think they've had tremendous impact positively for Florida and just conservative life, healthy budget, healthy resources, high economic output, safety, a lot of improvement I have felt the past 4 years and beyond. And so who knows what's next for a governor here. Anyways, just want to try to give you my views and my thoughts. And I want to end this by saying there are a lot of Democratic and left-wing ideologies or values or policies or ideals that I agree with and I would be supportive of. I think it's important for there to be there are some things that are important and help others. And so I am in support of certain ideals and ideas. I just think it's very difficult. I just don't think it's a healthy thing for the government to be in control of fixing the world's and the country's issues. I don't think that's the role of government that provides the healthiest economy and people. And I think that it's important to have ideas, policies, legislature that do help the underprivileged and the those who are less fortunate and who have less means to live positively and healthfully. But I also feel like that is more so the role of a community and a city and a county. I think it's more effective and better off when communities are looking out for the underprivileged. And I think it's just very difficult to do well at a national level. I think there's too much taking advantage of, and I think it becomes very ineffective. And so anyways, I just wanted to end on saying there are democratic and even certain liberal ideas that I can I like the ideals of. I think played out in the political sphere and the political realm in the real world, I align very much with conservative values and conservative policies, because I think they result a lot of times in a lot of beneficial outcomes that can help people. And I would love to see more left-wing democratic policies able to do that and help others more. I would love to see more of it. So anyways, that's just my thoughts. I thought this was going to be a 10-minute video, but it ended up being 1,000. Or sorry, about an hour, I think. So anyways, this is what you have. You've gotten now to see a good amount of my views politically, and I'm here to be open and see other points of view and hear others. And I'm just letting you know my individual views and ideals and values, and what I'm speaking out for and promoting, and what I want to see grow more in America. I want to protect America's freedom and grow America's influence in the world, and I want to help Americans grow. I want a healthy America that is full of life, love, and families who are able to live life. So with that, thank you for watching, and see you next time.